Ah, what's going on, y'all? So let's discuss this for a minute. Like seriously. No, I just been sitting back, you know, thinking about my life from as far back as I can remember until now. Unless you in a program in one of these companies, good luck to you. Unless you got parents that'll like seriously sit there, talk to you, interact with you, show you love, it's gonna be tough. And I can't stress that enough. If your parents always gone at work or whatever, and you're gonna have to figure out life on your own. Some of you got parents who trying to reach out to you, trying to talk to you, so you don't have a jacked up life, but y'all don't listen. And there are some kids who actually just be right there waiting for you to teach them, and y'all never catch on. That's the sad part. And then it's people who, like consider you their friend, and you turn out to be their enemy. But then like you don't even care about making it right. You just keep going with it. Like I don't. I look at me, my standards, values, and morals, and I look at everybody else. I mean, I'm 48. Yeah, I'm 48. All the gray hair. You can't really see it, but yeah, I'm 48. Yeah. And I can and will say that me compared to others, it ain't no comparison. Like, I never had a chance. Never. Sounds stupid, right? But it's not. But I've noticed that out of the billion people in the world, and me being that one, nobody thinks like I do. And if they do, I haven't come across them. But I really and truly feel like, at some point in time, you take responsibility for where you went wrong at and for what you didn't know, and what you didn't get up and go out and discover. But then if you didn't know, you just didn't know. It's that simple. Mm, I mean, hey, for me, life worked just going to work or school and coming home. I didn't have no problems. I didn't have no drama. I didn't have no stress. I didn't have no heartache. I hadn't even been in trouble. But you know what? The minute you do start learning the law, everything starts to go different. So it's like, why? Why? I'm just saying, like, from my experiences in life, it's really crazy. Like, you don't have no friends. Why? Just don't click. They start out your friend and then they just disappear. I don't know. Like to me, the definition of a friend is somebody who will accept you for who you are. Somebody who will literally look at you and be like, no, don't do that. Or somebody who will see like, hey man, this not a good look. Like, I know you. We've been friends forever. Like, we have sat and talked. We have gone out skating, skiing, skydiving, whatever. But like a real friend, a real and true friend, I have not come across. And I'm 48. That says a lot. And a lot of people discovered that I could speak a foreign language, or I have skills to do stuff, and they immediately get intimidated and start taking shots at me. Like, why? I'm bothering you? Do I intimidate you? You know, people are happier to see me walking around in cut off shorts, raggedy old shoes, same outfits week after week, than actually see me upgrade myself. And that's the truth of it. And I would have never thought it possible. Like, I really had to take a moment to step back and really look at things. Like, dang, I know I ask questions. And I know I start looking like, dang, well, wait a minute. How come? And the minute I do, I looked out stupid. Why? Like, I literally told somebody, hey man, I keep hearing all of these people conversating in my house, but there ain't nobody there. They was all ready to throw me on the ninth floor, you see. I had to literally say, hey, I have the bank information to prove I'm not losing my mind. God, I keep saying this, and everybody is so quick to say she got mental problems. No, it's not the problem. So I picked up my phone and I started Googling hearing voices. Yes, it does come up as a sign of bipolar schizophrenia, but that's not the only thing that comes up. Like now, hold on. Like now. The voice in your head may help you recall and process words. But what if you don't have one? The conversation 1 month ago. If you've ever heard a voice that wasn't there, this could be why. New York Times, October 18th, 2023. I'm not finna go through like the whole article, but it does say that some years ago, scientists in Switzerland found a way to make people hallucinate. They didn't use LSD or sensory deprivation chambers. Instead, they sat people in a chair and asked them to push a button that, a fraction of a second later, caused a rod to gently press their back. After a few rounds, the volunteers got the creeping sense of someone behind them. Faced with a disconnect between their actions and their sensations, their minds conjured another explanation, a separate presence in the room. In a new study published in the journal Psychological Medicine, researchers from the same lab used the ghostly finger set up to probe another kind of hallucination, hearing voices. They found that volunteers were more likely to report hearing a voice when there was a lag between the push of the button and the rod's touch than when there was no delay. The findings suggest that the neurological roots of hallucinations lie in how the brain processes contradictory signals from the environment, the researchers said. That was in October of 23. Says, do you hear voices in your head while reading a book? You are not alone then, studies say. Says studies. That's a month ago. That's a good magazine. It says, if you've ever heard a strange inner voice whispering and mumbling while reading, you're not alone. It's not a hallucination or anything superstitious. Science has a proper explanation. A study published in the journal Psychosis on April 29, 2015, found that hearing an inner voice while reading is quite common. New York University's professor of psychology, I don't know how to pronounce it. See? Ruvanee, it's Ruvanee, Vilhauer, led the study and discovered that over 80% of people hear an inner voice while reading. This phenomenon, known by various names such as inner monologue or paracousia and self-vocalization, is termed the inner reading voice, IRV, by Vilhauer. And that's just part of it. I'm not going to read all of it. But, I mean, come on now. It does say Vilhauer evaluated 160 answers from an online survey to examine the human reading experience. The findings revealed that 82.5% of people hear a voice when they read, and that these IRVs are characterized by the auditory qualities of overt speech, such as recognizable identity, gender, pitch, loudness, and emotional tone. Among those who heard an inner voice, 13% said it happened only occasionally, influenced by factors like their interest in the book. Meanwhile, 11% reported never hearing an inner voice while reading. Now, I'll say this. I used to read all the time. All the time. Historical romance, don't even bother me. I could probably finish the book in less than a week or a couple days. I used to read all the time. And I can say this. That didn't happen to me until, what, last year? Yeah, before I moved. So, hey, what can I say? Now that's from May 28, 2024. It says, WSJ, a lawyer abandoned family and career to follow the voices in his head. March 23rd, 2024. This is at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. A lawyer abandoned family and career to follow the voices in his head. Rob Dart took a fast track to the American dream until mental illness turned his brilliant mind against him. Now that one says it's a mental illness. Says as a teenager, Robert Dart found himself a Renaissance man, and he was indeed exceptional by nearly every measure. Co-captain of his high school football, track teams, co-president of the academic club, science fair prize winner, literary awards. He's an easy child, said his mother, Sherry Dart. He always found a way. Dart, whom everybody called Rob, married a classmate at the University of Chicago Law in 2007. Well, that's how you're going to get, unless you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. It says special offer $1 a week. And there's the article. There's another one. Even healthy people can be tricked into hearing voices that aren't there. That's from October 31st, 2023. It says the science alert. So, we might automatically associate hearing voices with neurological conditions like schizophrenia. It now turns out most brains can be tricked into hearing voices that aren't there given the right conditions. Researchers from I don't know what that says, but it's somewhere in Switzerland. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. École Polytechnique Federal de Lausanne. I don't know, they call it EPFL in Switzerland. And the University Savoy Savoy that I still messed up. University Savoy Mont Blanc in France wanted to investigate how auditory verbal hallucinations (AVH) might be triggered in the mind. That's where we hear a voice, but there is no speaker present. Previous studies suggest these hallucinations are caused either by an inability to correctly distinguish the self from its surroundings or by strongly held beliefs or prior assumptions that outweigh whatever is actually happening in an environment. The team wanted to put both hypotheses to the test. So here we developed a new method of inducing AVH in a controlled laboratory environment by integrating methods from voice perception with sensory motor stimulation, allowing us to investigate the contribution of both major AVH accounts. The researchers write in their published paper. Yeah. So, y'all can read it on your own. But yeah. Now the Healthline in March 12th of 2021 says, hear voices in your head, when to be concerned. Says auditory hallucinations are more common than many people realize, especially among children and adolescents. Ever heard a voice inside your head that wasn't your own? You may have experienced an auditory hallucination. The voice might have sounded like someone you knew, making you do a double take to check they hadn't come up behind you. Or maybe it sounded like a stranger striking up a conversation or commenting on your choice of clothing. However the voice sounded, you might have felt a little confused, possibly even concerned about your mental health. You might have kept it to yourself, knowing that people often associate seeing or hearing things that aren't there with schizophrenia and other serious mental health conditions. So what it can sound like? Auditory hallucinations don't sound the same for everyone. For instance, they may sound like a friend, speak kindly or compliment you, talk about private things you never told anyone, say unkind things or criticize you, comment on your activities, offer guidance, including spiritual guidance, urge you to do potentially dangerous things, sound like music or other sounds rather than voices. These auditory hallucinations can happen with or without mental health symptoms. In fact, research explains that auditory hallucinations not only have various causes, but they can also occur without any underlying condition. It says the authors of that report urged mental health professionals to avoid diagnosing schizophrenia or any psychotic disorder when someone reports hearing voices without other symptoms. Other research suggests voices that occur with mental health conditions tend to start slowly and intensify, then end gradually rather than all at once, last longer, seem to come from an external source, accompany or contribute to delusions, get in the way of everyday life. Still, voices that happen with schizophrenia and other conditions can vary quite a bit. A small 2015 study suggests cultural background could play a part in the type of voice you hear. In a sample of 20 people who reported hearing voices and met criteria for schizophrenia, the study found people in California tended to describe the voices as unreal, intrusive thoughts. People in West Africa tended to say the voices were powerful or morally good or bad. People in West India were most likely to hear voices of relatives or voices offering advice. Learn about personality disorders. Is it the same as intrusive thoughts? I'm going to stop there, but I will jump down to it's the whole article on this all over the internet. I'm going to skip the is it the same as intrusive thoughts? I mean, you can read that. It touches really briefly on intrusive thoughts, count as auditory hallucinations, wondering if, and it goes to potential causes. While it's absolutely possible to hear voices without any underlying condition, auditory hallucinations sometimes have a specific cause. You could hear voices after losing your hearing, when grieving a loved one, after experiencing a head injury, when under a lot of stress, while using substances or alcohol, or during withdrawal. Auditory hallucinations can also show up as a symptom of some medical and or mental health concerns. So don't automatically jump to thinking somebody has mental problems. Really. Post-traumatic stress disorder. It says, along with hallucinations, you might experience flashbacks or nightmares, difficulty focusing, anger and irritability, feelings of guilt, blame or self-blame or depression, disinterest in your usual activities, anxiety, uneasiness, or panic. That's just one part. It says other mental health conditions. It's possible to have auditory hallucinations with many different health conditions, though not everyone with these conditions will ever hear voices. Depression, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder. This is the name of a few. And they've got brain and nervous system disorders, meningitis, Parkinson's disease, dementia, temporal lobe epilepsy, migraine, and brain tumor. Some of these conditions may include sudden, persistent head pain, numbness and tingling, vision changes, trouble with memory and concentration, weak or rigid muscles, muscle tremors, seizures, slurred speech, or difficulty speaking clearly. Oh, wait Vitamin deficiency, when you don't get enough certain vitamins, vitamin D and B12. Let's see, research also linked lower levels of vitamin D to more severe schizophrenia symptoms. So symptoms of vitamin D and B12 deficiency: weakness or fatigue, numbness, tingling, changes in vision, mobility, mouth ulcers, irritability, depression, pale or yellowing skin, muscle pain, frequent illness, hair loss. It looks like a whole lot of reasons. Then it's got some coping tips on the bottom. So the coping tips are: so it says coping tips. Hearing voices can be confusing, distracting, or even upsetting, especially if the voices say critical or unkind things, or if they make you feel bad about yourself. Not knowing why the voices happen might add to your distress. These strategies may not always make the voices go away, but they can help you cope with them. Keep a journal, talk about them, accept them, relax and practice self care, get professional support. The bottom line: experiencing auditory hallucinations may not automatically mean you have a mental health condition, but it can still feel unsettling and frightening. If you can't seem to turn the voices down or tune them out, a therapist can offer compassion, guidance, and support. Yeah. But in all of that, nowhere in there did it say death in any of those. Now, this is medical, news, medical, and life sciences. It doesn't have like a month, day, and year at the beginning of this one. Wait a minute. But it does go like in depth. Y'all can read it. I'm gonna read it out loud, but there it is right there. You know, my father, before he passed away, he used to always say, "I can't make you out," and I would be looking like, "Daddy, who you talking to? What you talking about?" But my father was deaf, so he also had bipolar schizophrenia. So yeah, more than a bad trip, experts warn about the risk of cannabis-induced psychosis, or CBC. That's from the CBC. That's February 18th, 2024. That's this year. Says Kalpit Sharma, comedian, entrepreneur, strategic advisor for the Cannabis and Psychosis Project, an online resource created by the Schizophrenia Society of Canada. He urges people to educate themselves as increasingly potential cannabis products become commercially available in Canada. So, I mean, that's just Canada. We're in the United States. Oh my God. And then there's this. Weird, freaks you out, doesn't want to read. I understand the feeling. There's also that. You might have a parasite. So could it be linked to having a parasite? Let's see. Let's see. Can having parasites cause one to hear voices in their head? So let's see. Googling it says delusional parasitosis (DP) is a psychiatric condition that can cause people to have delusions that they are infested with parasites, bugs, or other creatures. It also says how to test for brain parasites. Brain imaging, MRI, CT scans, cerebral spinal fluid, a CSF test, brain tissue. Well, so it says that here, diagnosis and test, the provider may order imaging, blood test, a lumbar puncture, biopsy, or an eye exam. That's for cystic urcosis. I can't pronounce it, but yeah. So yeah, it says how to test for a brain worm. What are your chances? That's off of Reddit. New comments cannot be posted and votes cannot be cast. Post was deleted by the person who originally posted it. It's 5 years ago. But, wow. So they took that one down. So yeah, my whole point is don't knock somebody because they're different than you and they aren't like you. And don't be mean to somebody and act it towards them for no reason. Life's too short. You only get to live it once. If you didn't know it when you was younger, you didn't have no real friends when you was younger, then look at it for your future and make your life better. That's where I'm at. I'm 48. I'm going to send this back to 18. Y'all have a good one. I got to finish getting my house together. Got to clean up and fix me something to eat.